everything began from a love story. The best way to start celebrations is to have a coffee date. And I think we'll never know which story was actually the true inspiration behind a Shakespearean plot, infamous demonic lover of Bologna. Hey guys, welcome back to Dramatically Expatic. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and today we're celebrating in a very romantic Italian city, which is not Verona. And I know that Verona is traditionally associated with love and love stories, but not many people know that Bologna is actually full of romantic stories. And we even have our very own Romeo and Juliet. But wait, I'll tell you everything today. First thing first, don't forget to subscribe and let's go celebrate. Bologna is, of course, a very ancient city, tracing its origin back to the Etruscan times. But you know what the most fascinating thing about it? It all started with a love story. There was an Etruscan king called Pharaoh who was madly in love with a beautiful woman called Apposa. The two started building their lives and the first village here in this place, the future Bologna. But one day, Apposa tragically lost her life in the waters of the torrent flowing nearby. The king was absolutely heartbroken, but to commemorate his love, he decided to give the torrent her name, thus giving birth, basically giving the beginning of the torrent Apposa. And if you've been to Bologna, you'll probably be absolutely confused right now, because there is seemingly no river or torrent flowing through Bologna. But actually there is a torrent that is flowing right here where I'm standing right now, because over the course of the years it turned into an underground river. So this basically is the place where Bologna was born, where everything began from a love story, a tragic love story, but still a love story. I think the best way to start celebrations is to have a coffee date. So let's go have some coffee and chat. Personally, guys, I feel like regular guidebooks don't do justice to the Italian cities by sharing just dry facts of when something was built or who commissioned it. And of course, its information is important, but for me, it's the people who live there, who love there, that make the city seem human. It's the legendary stories, you know, it's all the mysteries that surround the cities that make them seem closer to me. And if you guys want to give the human face to Bologna by discovering real-life stories and by adding a little bit of mysteries through the legends and tales, I have just released a guide through Bologna, a comprehensive guide that gives you exactly that. Now, my guide is full of amazing stories, just like the ones I'm telling you in the videos, but just many more. And of course, all the hand-picked places where to eat and drink and have coffee in Bologna. But most importantly, it will not only make you fall in love with the city, but will also make Bologna feel a little bit closer by sharing its human side with you. I've designed the itinerary in this guide in a way that you can read and follow it as if you're following me in real time, listening to all the stories, stopping for coffee on the way, of course, and it's incredibly easy to use. You can find the itinerary there, and then all the sections with all the important information for you guys, all the places for you. You can easily use it from your phone, and all of the places that I've mentioned appear on the map, so navigating Bologna will be a breeze. And since it's Valentine's Day, guys, you can now purchase it with 30% discount until February 14th. So hurry up and grab your digital copy and explore Bologna like a local. Now back to the love stories. Remember what I said about Romeo and Juliet, our very own Romeo and Juliet here in Bologna? I think it's no secret that Shakespearean story of Romeo and Juliet was not an authentic one. Although stories like that one used to happen all over Italy during the medieval times, but there is no evidence that a story like that has ever taken place between the families described by William Shakespeare. However, here in Bologna, there is at least one notable story that actually happened, and it's a true story. This family really existed. There was this love story, tragic love story, and differently from the balcony of Juliet that was added to the house of the Capulet family in Verona, here in Bologna, there is a tower that has actually seen that story unfold. Let's go with me, I'll show you. Our Juliet was called Virginia Galuzzi, and she belonged to a Guelph family who firmly supported the emperor. The Galuzzi family, as it should be in a Shakespearean story, had a nemesis, the Carbonese family, who belonged to the Ghibelline faction supporting the Pope. And that's how the Bolognese Romeo makes a grand entrance, being called Malatesta Carbonesi. Virginia lived right here, where the Galuzzi household was located. With the help of her servant, Malatesta managed to come here by night to declare his love. The two went further and got married in secret, which prompted Virginia to escape from home and go to live with her husband and with his family, actually right here around the corner. When Virginia's father found out about that, furious, he called upon his sons and family members to come somewhere here where the Carbonesi family house was located to seek vengeance. But the Carbonesi family was away in the countryside, everyone except for the two lovers. Malatesta was suffocated right there by Virginia's raging relatives, while she was left alive. But not wanting to keep living without the love of her life, Virginia decided to follow in Malatesta's footsteps and killed herself by hanging. Sounds familiar, right? The truth is, the stories like this one were happening all over the country and multiple times during the most atrocious wars between the Guelphs and the Ghibellines. And I think we'll never know which story was actually the true inspiration behind a Shakespearean plot. But according to the legend, our unfortunate lovers were buried here, where the church of the Carbonesi family was once located. Now, sadly, there is no more church here, but at least there is a beautiful balcony decorated with flowers. That is a balcony, and if a love story worth of Shakespeare pen should have a balcony, at least we have one here. And it still reminds us of this tragic story and of this tragic end of the two lovers. In the evening, this place will be so full of people, with everyone celebrating and just going out, But guys, if you are going out on a romantic date in Bologna, before choosing a place, a restaurant, choose wisely, because there are some very peculiar names here. Like this, for example, even though there are some really nice restaurants and shops here, this part is called Portico della Morte, which translates as the Portico of Death. You can find the history behind the name of this portico in my guide, guys, through the link in the description box. But just so that you know, before choosing a place for your date, maybe it's better to choose a place that has a better sounding name. And of course, there were plenty of deadly love stories in Bologna too, so not all of them were tragic love stories, or at least they weren't tragic for everyone involved. And as it always happens, especially with the medieval stories, when talking about love, there are these two main female archetypes: the pure and innocent young woman who falls in love and usually dies because of it, as it happened to Virginia Galuzzi, and then the wicked and diabolical woman who kills everyone on her way, who can never be stopped by no force and usually escapes the justice. That was the case of Lucia Bianchetti, the infamous demonic lover of Bologna, who lived here in the late 14th century. Her story begins when she was already a widow and nobody knows what actually happened to her first husband, but she came to prominence after getting married for the second time to Pietro de Bianchetti, who also was a widower and had a son from his previous marriage. The boy, in fact, died shortly after the wedding between Lucia and Pietro, and Lucia was accused of poisoning him. She was condemned to death, but somehow she managed to escape and left Bologna to return years later after obtaining pardon. But apparently that case did not teach Lucia pretty much anything, because upon her return to Bologna, she started an illegal affair with the famous notary Filippo Brancaldi. Soon after that, Brancaldi's servant found out about that and probably demanded a ransom for his silence. The two lovers couldn't find anything better than to kill him and to throw his body to the Apaza Canal, the one I was talking about before, the one associated with love. So no wonder that they were caught red-handed and condemned to death, once again for the second time in Lucia's case. But guess what? The two managed to escape once again, and allegedly they went to Venice, where their tracks were lost, and nobody will ever know if they have ever poisoned or killed anyone else, and, expertly avoided punishment. And that's, guys, when I want to remind you that if you're planning a romantic trip to Italy, don't be like everyone else. Verona is lovely, I personally love that city, but you see, Bologna is also full of romantic stories, and there are actually many, many more than the ones I told you today, even though I think these ones are pretty impressive. I also remind you guys that you can purchase my guide through the link in the description box to learn even more stories about Bologna, love stories included. And through another link in the description box, you can book a one-on-one call with me if you want me to help you plan a perfect trip to Italy. And I'd be especially happy to help you plan a special occasion, a romantic trip, for example, to make a proposal or to spend your honeymoon here. So guys, check the links in the description box for more resources, and I wish you a very happy Valentine's Day, regardless of the kind of love you are celebrating, whether it's love for your partner or friends, family, pets, or most importantly for yourselves. Tell me in the comments, what kind of Valentine's or Galentine's Day are you celebrating this year? Don't forget to comment and tell me more about what you'd like to see in the future. Like this video, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss anything else. Happy Valentine's Day, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm all celebrating.